Good morning. Guess what? I sat down and spilled coffee all over myself. And then I said, fuck it, we'll do it live. We'll spill coffee live. So my lap is a steaming is steaming coffee right now. It's okay. It's all right. I didn't just buy this shirt. I didn't just buy this new piece from Lululemon with a gift card that I found in my drawer that I didn't know existed. I didn't just do that. I'm going to turn myself up a smidge. I kind of feel like the last few episodes have been really quiet, but if I get too loud or if it becomes, if it clips, the sound breaks, someone say something. Oh, I feel loose though. I usually stretch at the gym before I come over here, but I came home early and stretched right before I sat down, right before I spilled coffee on my lap. Oh, it feels good. I'm getting flexible from yoga. I can bend over and put my hands underneath my toes, underneath my feet. I'm getting fucking flexible. And I showed my mom the other day and I said, "Watch this. Look how flexible I'm getting." Oh, okay. Yeah, that's muted. My desktop makes noises the entire time. I showed my mom. I bent over and put my hand underneath my feet, and she said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Look how flexible I'm getting from all of the yoga I've been doing." She said, "Oh, I could do that too." And then she tried and she got to her shins, and then she's like, "I'm sore." She's a sweetheart. Hope everybody had a great week. It's October, and it's spooky season, right? For all you basic white girls and boys, it's spooky season. I know Hey B Moon he's a spooky kind of boy. I don't have any announcements because who cares? Hey, mashed potatoes. Good morning, but I will not tolerate such foul language in my chat. Do you understand? He said, "Good morning, slut." You could talk about other people that way, but you can't talk about me that way. Good morning. Cheers. Mashed potatoes. Do you have like a drink? Like people wake up and drink coffee? Do you wake up and have like a food or a drink that you take every day? I bet it's a Monster. I bet you drink Monster every day, huh? I love coffee. I got the creme brulee Starbucks Keurig blend with a little bit of French vanilla. It's the best coffee I've ever had. I'll let you figure that out, or I'll let you respond. I'm going to talk about what I. Oh, but I do want to say first before I talk about my book, the book that I. Ooh, and then I got spilled something on my book. Ah, it's been a hell of a morning. Ugh. Red Bull these days. I think Red Bull is probably top tier energy drink, but I did have gives me a massive erection. Listen, I read the text, and most people know who you are. So you gotta be very aware. Your comments are not going hidden, and it's not just between you and me. I had a Zoa, Dwayne the Rock Johnson's new energy drink over the weekend. Never drink energy drinks, but it's supposed to be like the healthy one. It's all natural chemicals. It's really good. I think I like it more. I liked it more than Red Bull, and Red Bull is top tier. If you are listening to this when it's not Monday at 8 a.m., then I want to remind you that I do this live every Monday, Mountain Standard Time, 8 a.m., when everyone is probably still sleeping or just going to work, and I have a live chat so Mashed Potatoes can tell me about how Red Bulls give him erections. This last week, I read a book called Everything is Fucked, a book about hope by Mark Manson. And I am so excited to talk about this book. He is the author of the New York Times best-selling book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, which I've read several times before. It's to me, it's modern day philosophy. It's modern day rhetoric with ancient philosophy. He's a really brilliant guy. A little bit about Mark, huh? You want to know about Mark Manson? Well, I'll tell you a little bit about Mark Manson. Mark Manson is the New York Times and international best-selling author of that book I just said. He has a blog which attracts more than 2 million readers a day. Oh, excuse me, a month? Wow. Still doesn't really talk much. Yeah, but he's like a modern day influencer, like a feel good author, a self improvement author and blog writer. And I just recently followed his Instagram, and yeah, he like, when people are like, people want to make you feel good, so they say you can do this, and just keep trying, and they say live, laugh, and love. He does the same thing, but he does with explicit language, which might be obvious by the title of his book. I love it though. I love this. I love his humor and his rhetoric. Oh, look at this! Ryan Holiday, the from last week, reviewed the book. I just see this on the back. Mark Manson's book is a call to arms for a better life and a better world, and could not be more needed right now. Cool. Hey, I recognize authors now, just like people recognize musicians. I'm recognizing fucking authors. That's cool. All right. The subtle art. Whoops. No, that's the other one. Everything is fucked. This I wrote down so much crap about this book, but I will say it's I'm not going to be cheesy like Ryan Holiday and say it's much needed in today's world, but I think the attitude alluded of or that he presents being everything is fucked. We're destroying ourselves and our environment and our emotional, our mental health is a message that not a lot of people want to listen to. It's easy. I think it's easy for people to be okay. Backtrack. This our entire existence, to me, as after reading a few of these books, is all about distractions. Life is all about distractions. And what are our distractions? I kind of had a conversation with my mom about this too last week. What are our distractions? The biggest distraction for most people is their 8-hour-a-day job, and then they come home and they have their family. There's tons of everything is a distraction. Pretty much what I'm saying is everything is a distraction. Anything that we do distracts us, but what is it distracting us from? It distracts us from the inevitable, or from what Mark Manson calls the uncomfortable truth. And hey, guess what? We're just going to get started right away. The uncomfortable truth, as he describes, I'm jumping ahead by talking about this. The opposite of happiness isn't sadness, it's hopelessness. The opposite of happiness is not sadness or anger, it's hopelessness. That's the uncomfortable truth. We our hope narrative is what I didn't write that very well. Yeah, that was a stupid note. Humans today are the safest they've ever been, but yet humans today are more hopeless than ever before. So this book, it is a book about hope, but plot twist and plot twist and spoiler alert. Hope is a hopeless cause. He kind of destroys hope in this whole book. He builds up what hope is. It's how humans experience hope, and then expresses how hope is useless. And I'm going to go through why through this process. What I'm saying about my opinion about distractions is, and he mentions it in the book, is to have hope means to wish for something better than things are currently. If you're in a bad situation or if you don't like the current state of the world, you hope for a better world or hope for a better situation or for better things to come. So to hope means that there's something currently not good happening, something less than desirable. If the world was perfect, or if all of our problems were solved today, immediately new problems would arise, mostly because humans are very imperfect, not even close. And we create a lot of problems for each other with greed and selfishness. So to hope for a better world means it comes with there are a lot of things that come with having hope. It comes with action, it comes with desire, with intention to have hope or to express hope. But if you're hopeless, then life is merely a string of distractions. So this is what I'm trying to say. Everything we do, this podcast for me is a distraction from my hardships, from the things that I don't like, things that I don't enjoy. But are your distractions helping you or are they hurting you? Are your distractions helping you? Are they promoting your hope narrative or are they destroying it? Okay. I'm going to go into the book. That chapter 1 is the uncomfortable truth. And the uncomfortable truth is we're the safest we've ever been, but we're the most hopeless we've ever been. Humans, and that's what he calls the uncomfortable truth. Okay. So he's going to break down the human condition and what leads humans to hope. Chapter 2 is self-control is an illusion. Oh, I also spilled coffee on my shoe earlier right when I brewed it. So it's been a hell of a morning, but we're rolling. Okay, the chapter 2 is called Self-Control is an Illusion. He introduces the classic assumption, which is to use our rational minds to dominate our emotions. We assume we use our rational minds to dominate our emotions. This is a farce or a cognitive fallacy, if you remember. If you remember, what was that book called by the Swedish guy? I always forget his name and his book. I don't remember. The Art of Thinking Clearly by Rolf Dobelli. Nice. Humans think we use our brains to dominate our emotions. That's the classic assumption. What he explains is our emotions, our thinking or our feeling brain dominates our decisions, and our thinking brain is in the passenger seat. The thinking brain cannot control the feeling brain, but it can greatly influence it. Let's see. Yes, our life is driven by emotions. Humans are emotional creatures. There's a whole chemistry aligned with it. Our cognitive or thinking brain developed over time where we became conscious. We don't really understand. We don't entirely understand how it came to be, but all animals are governed by their emotions, and it's all with all this chemical shit going on in your brain. When something pleasant happens to an animal, dopamine is released and you get endorphins and whatever, and then it feels good, and so that animal will crave that thing. It's all an emotional reaction. So we make decisions based on our emotions. Humans have developed a thinking brain. It came later to decipher the meaning to all of these emotions, to our emotional decisions. So, chapter 2, change the narrative. Our thinking brain is in the passenger seat. Our feeling brain is what dominates our decisions. Chapter 3 is he explores an alternate universe where instead of Newton's laws of motion. Chapter 3 is called Newton's laws of emotions. So here are his principles. For every action, there is an equal and opposite emotional reaction. It's kind of cheesy how we did this, but the chapter was really good. The second point, our self-worth equals the sum of our emotions over time. Well, maybe let me go back and briefly explain. For every action, there is an equal and opposite emotional reaction. We inherently want to equalize moral gaps. If you wrong this as humans, as humans, when we are wronged, we feel we need to be redeemed. If the wrong is righted, or if you apologize, we feel we deserve to be compensated. And if we are overcompensated, we feel we need to return the favor or fill the moral gap. If we're wronged, we believe things should be neutralized. If we're overcompensated or over-rewarded, we feel we should give back in return. For every action, there is an equal and opposite emotional reaction. That's the first point. The second one is our self-worth equals the sum of our emotions over time. Maybe I want to go through this quick because I don't know if I want to spend a ton of time here. Yep, if we cannot equalize the moral gap, if we're wronged, and the wrong is not equalized or the other way around, that it becomes the standard. That becomes baseline. So if we are wronged and not redeemed, we believe we deserve the wrongdoing and ultimately deteriorate our self-worth. Our self-worth equals the sum of our emotions over time. The third part, your identity will stay your identity until a new experience acts against it. Your identity will stay your identity until a new experience acts against it. So he goes through childhood trauma, how that fucks us up. There's no change without pain. There's no growth without discomfort. And what we can do is learn how to rewrite our values. Life is based on a system of values. So of 2 points, the first is re-examine the experiences of your past and rewrite the meaning. Rewrite the meaning of your wrongdoings. And number 2, begin writing the narratives of your future self. This is how you rewrite your values. And the fourth point is emotional gravity. The stronger we hold a value, the stronger its gravity. Good enough. We're all emotional creatures. Chapter 4, how to make all your dreams come true. And I know I've said it before. This is not a religious podcast. It might be sometimes, and right now it's going to be, because chapter 4 is how to start your own religion. Here we go. There's six major points to starting your own religion. Sell hope to the hopeless. Step 1. Step 2, choose your faith. Step 3, preemptively invalidate all criticism. Step 4, ritual sacrifice. Step 5, promise heaven and deliver hell. And step 6, profit for profit. Yeah, I didn't read the book. I listened to that, and I don't know which one is which. If it's the PROPHET or PROFIT, profit for profit. Let me see if I can find it. Step. I don't know where it's at. Oh, profit for profit. Yeah. Okay, I wrote it right. So profit the person for profit like the money. Yep. Okay. Not gonna get into it. That's how you start your own religion. So humans, because of our emotional values over the thousands of years we've been alive, have created several different kinds of religions that have dictated how humans have developed and interacted with each other. So this is a basis for hope. humans, as they've developed a thinking brain, have become hopeless, and religion fills that gap. And then chapter 5 is called Hope is Fucked. He discusses what would you say, the discourse of philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche. Friedrich Nietzsche, spelled Nietzsche. Whoops, Nietzsche. It took me a long time to figure out how to spell that, and I still don't. If you asked me to spell it without looking, I wouldn't be able to do it. This is the guy that wrote the book God is Dead. God is dead, and we killed him. And this came with the scientific. Okay, more clarity. Chapter 5 explains the Industrial Revolution, the Scientific Revolution, and I think the technological revolution comes later. But these new revolutions came with a whole different perspective on hope and our future as humans. So, disregarding the other philosophers, he focuses on philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche. God is dead. We killed him, and then we became our own gods. We killed the gods of old. We became the gods of new. And instead of looking at that as a tragedy, he looks at his book, and Manson explains, he looks at that as an injustice. We killed the gods. We became our own gods, and we had no right to do so. Because humans suck at making decisions, at thinking clearly. We're guided by all of our emotional. We're guided by our emotions. We make decisions on irrational judgments most of the time. And Nietzsche says, or philosophers in general, and the whole book that I just read by Ryan Holiday, and it's all about thinking. All of these books, thinking clearly, is removing our irrational judgments and thinking clearly, making rash decisions to improve not only our own condition but the condition of all humans around us. That's been the point of most of these books. And I realize it's mostly just philosophy in general. Most philosophers are expressing this. You can overcome your irrational emotional mind by dominating it. But technically, it's not dominating or overriding your feelings or your emotions. It's understanding your emotions and then making rash decisions because of your emotions. You feel the emotions. You feel anger. You feel love or lust, and you feel a whole bunch of things, but not making decisions based on those feelings. You make rash decisions with your thinking brain. You influence your feelings. You help your feeling brain understand why it's feeling these things, and then you make good decisions. Okay, that's the point. So, back to this chapter 5. Spiritual religions died, according to his philosophy, and gave way to ideological religions like nationalism and all the isms. So, we still have spiritual religions, of course, and I think the point is they don't hold as much gravity because of science, and you can make whatever kind of argument incorporating science with the religion, whatever. The point he's making is there are more things that humans understand now than they did before, and people play God by pretending to understand the cosmos and all of this, and just understanding the human condition. The bleak reality of the human condition is everything being fucked doesn't require hope. Hope requires everything to be fucked. We can't have. Okay, I'll just say it again. Everything being fucked doesn't require hope. Hope requires everything being fucked. I don't know what the word is for that. How you switch it. You switch it back and forth. You switch the words from the front to the back. There's a word for that. Hope requires us to be anti-something, but it doesn't work the other way around. You can't be anti-something and then require hope. You have hope and then Yeah, I said that backwards. I understand it, but I don't know how to explain it if you don't know what I'm trying to say. So I apologize. Um, he says our only choices in life are perpetual conflict or nihilism. And these are more isms that came to be through the scientific revolution. Tribalism, nihilism. Um, so our only choices in life are conflict or nihilism, tribalism or isolation, religious war or the uncomfortable truth that everything is fucked. Conflict or nihilism, the opposites. Those are our only choices. Uh, there's far more context to that point. I just made that was the point that stood out the most to me. Sorry, my thoughts are scattered. But this was like the highlight of this is the end of part 1 of 2 parts of the book. The part 1 is hope. Part 2 is called Everything is Fucked. I wanted to read a little bit of the end of part 1, where a principle called amor fati is introduced. And I don't remember if Ryan Holiday talked about amor fati in The Obstacle is the Way, but this is the principle. And this is a value that Nietzsche lived by and taught. Amor fati for Nietzsche meant the unconditional acceptance of life, of all life and experience, the highs and the lows, the meaning and the meaningless, accepting all these things. It meant loving one's pain, embracing one's suffering. It meant closing the separation between one's desires and reality, not by striving for more desires, but simply by desiring reality. Amor fati comes from the Latin love of one's fate. That's earlier. I skipped that part. It basically meant hope for nothing, hope for what already is, because hope is ultimately empty. Anything your mind can conceptualize is fundamentally flawed and limited, and therefore damaging if worshipped unconditionally. This is the religion part. Don't hope for more happiness, and don't hope for less suffering. Don't hope to improve your character. Don't hope to eliminate your flaws. Hope for this. Hope for the infinite opportunity and oppression present in every single moment. Hope for the suffering that comes with freedom, for the pain that comes from happiness, for the wisdom that comes from ignorance, for the power that comes from surrender, and then act despite it. This is our challenge, our calling, to act without hope, to not hope for better, to be better, in this moment and in the next and the next and the next. Everything is fucked, and hope is both the cause and the effect of that fuckedness. This is a hard pill to swallow because weaning ourselves off the sweet nectar of hope is like pulling a bottle away from a drunk. Without it, we believe we'll fall back into the void and be swallowed by the abyss. The uncomfortable truth frightens us, and so we spin stories and values and narratives and myths and legends about ourselves and the world to keep the truth at bay. This gives more context to the our only choices in life. Conflict with other people, or nihilism, believing that there's no inherent purpose in life. Tribalism, feeling like you belong to a community or religion, a state, a nation, or isolation, believing that we're alone in the universe. These are our only choices. Religious war, obviously, or the uncomfortable truth. None of it is real. These are our only decisions. Yeah, that's let's see. One more paragraph. But the only thing that frees us is that truth. You and I and everyone we know will die, and little to nothing that we do will even matter will ever matter on a cosmic scale. And while some people fear that this truth will liberate them from all responsibility, that they'll go snort an 8-ball of cocaine in plane traffic, the reality is that this truth scares them because it liberates them to responsibility. It means that there's no reason not to love ourselves and one another. There's no reason not to treat ourselves and our planet with respect. There's no reason not to live every moment of our lives as though it were to be lived in eternal recurrence. And he made a note in his appendix on this chapter, which I loved. Oh, wait a minute. Did I read the wrong note? No. I read a different note than that. That's oh, I read a different chapter note. That's okay. Doesn't matter. That's the point. Hope is fucked because our emotions believe everything is fucked and that we should hope for a better world. But instead of hoping for a better world, he says we should just simply be the better world. That's part 1. I love it. I loved this. I loved that. I love that sentiment. It speaks to me, but more than most other principles. I simply believe that. Oh, I just that principle resonates with me so well. It makes more sense in my brain that there is no inherent purpose to life, and that we create purpose rather than there is an existential being or an eternal being or however you imagine it or believe it to be that creates meaning. It's easier for me in my little human monkey brain to think that there's no inherent purpose or meaning to anything that happens, that things just happen, that life just is the way it is. And the scientific revolution brought about the understanding of biology and how our brains work. And just like I said earlier, all of the things that happen in our lives, excuse me, all of our reactions to the things that happen in our life are chemical reactions. When we eat something yummy, we want more of that yummy: salt, sugar, protein. But when we get punched in the face or we get our finger chopped off, it's painful and we desire that less. It's all chemical reactions. If we get wronged or we hurt someone's feelings, it makes us feel bad. It's all chemical reactions, and then we crave those things less. We understand why our body reacts the way it does, not because of some eternal truth or some any religious principle. It's all we have a scientific it's the stupid debate of science over religion, and maybe you can incorporate the both, but removing the religious part of it to me makes more sense. And then instead of saying I'm going to do good because I want to have good status in the next life, I want to do good because that's all that we have is if we remove hope for a better world and be the better world, it creates responsibility to do the right thing for ourselves and for everyone else. That's part 1, baby. Oh yeah, part 2. Everything is fucked. And spoiler alert, if you think there's a happy ending, there's not, because everything is fucked. So let's get to it. Chapter 6, The Formula of Humanity. This is The Formula of Humanity by Immanuel Kant. Immanuel, Kant. He said, the formula is: act that you use humanity, whether in your own person or in the person of any other, always at the same time, as an end and never merely as a means. Simply put, don't use people for your own advantage. Using other people as a means to an end is inhumane. And he gives examples on how this makes sense. I needed to listen to this a few times. It's a new principle to me, but to be as simply as possible, the most humane thing we can do is treat other people humanely as a means, but never as an end. Don't use people for your own gains. Improve other people for an end, but not as an end. Okay, I think that makes sense. Today the world we live in faces a crisis of character, integrity, virtue, and means. Oh, I fucked that sentence up. It doesn't make sense in my notes, so I'm not going to read it, but that's it. The world we live in faces a crisis of character, integrity, and of virtue. I don't know what the last sentence of that is. That's a hard truth. And if you disagree, I'd love to hear why. But I agree with that. I agree that the world we live in faces a crisis of character, integrity, and virtue. And not to say that the world never had an issue with this, or that people have never had a crisis of virtue or integrity. But I I would agree that it's or at least in our condition, this is what we're experiencing. This is the time of life that we all are experiencing. So whether it was worse then or it's worse now doesn't really matter. It's happening anyway. I guess that's a bigger point. It's happening anyway. Chapter 7, pain is the universal constant. I love this. Excuse me. Ah. Okay. So I made a ton of notes about pain. I want to keep it brief. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice. A mature mind values pain and utilizes it as an advantage to learn. This is has a lot to do with what I was saying about our feelings, feeling whatever, or our emotions expressing whatever's happening, but our thinking brain interpreting the meaning and then making a rash decision, removing irrational decisions because of pain. So not letting pain or suffering, I should say, not letting pain make influence our feeling brain to make decisions, but understanding the pain and then making good decisions. The saying pain is inevitable but suffering is a choice is a tough concept to grasp. I think about pain that I've endured and the suffering that I have experienced because of pain, and to say that I can choose to suffer or not is hard. I agree that we have the ability to decide, am I going to let this ruin my life or not? Or am I going to suffer? But to say that we can just remove pain or remove suffering is really tough. Or maybe it just takes a really tough brain to grasp that. He tells a story about the monks. I don't remember. Who knows where the cover of the Rage Against the Machine album of the monk burning in the street. He tells that story, and I didn't know of the story before. I didn't know that's what that was, or of the album cover. But the monks in I think, was it Vietnam? I don't remember. The Buddhists were being oppressed, and monks they were silently protesting and being oppressed and silenced. And then after so long of this oppression, after so much oppression, they made a they had a public display of protest. A monk sat in the middle of a road, and other monks came, dumped gasoline on him, and then he lit himself on fire. And then this monk that was sitting on fire didn't move, didn't even open his eyes. And the people that were there say it was a horrendous yet awe-inspiring spectacle. It sounds incredible. I mean, but uh, is experiencing pain but choosing to suffer because of the pain. I guess that's the point. We should embrace pain, learn, and gain. When we avoid pain, we become fragile. Yep, that's pain. He talks about the hedonic treadmill that was discussed in The Art of Thinking Clearly. Humans are almost always at a level 7 out of 10 happy baseline. Yeah. Humans have always suffered in the past. Pursuing happiness is a universal value. Okay. So yeah, don't we can't eliminate pain. Eliminating pain increases your sensitivity to suffering. All right, is that enough on pain? What I'm trying to say, pain is inevitable. It's good for us because we can use it to our advantage to learn about why this is happening, to avoid it in the future, and to become stronger. That's chapter 7. Chapter 8 is the feelings economy. Yeah. What if okay, the world runs on feelings. He talks about marketing, how marketing and the internet exploits and exposes humans because of our feelings. Marketing and just I guess capitalism in general is exploits humans' feelings. So he poses the question, what if companies aren't evil, but what humans want sucks? What if companies are just providing goods and services for people with sucky wants? And I guess the easiest thing for me to think of is fast food. Fast food is obviously not good for anybody, but companies have provided cheap food or they've provided food at a very small price, and it's so bad for you, but people want it, and I want it all the time. I want it all the time. And that's just one example, and I guess it might not be a very good example, but like binge watching TV or playing copious amounts of video games or scrolling mindlessly on social media. These companies, some company, I mean, I saw something on the TV at the gym this morning about a Facebook whistleblower explaining how Facebook's priority is on profits and not social well-being. And I mean, wasn't that obvious anyway? I don't know. But that's like some companies and some people have bad intentions, but mostly companies are providing goods and services for people because we have shitty wants. We want gross food. I mean, I've got a can of M&Ms right here. And M&Ms aren't good for you. I should replace the can of M&Ms with fucking nuts and jerky or dates, fruits, whatever. So, what if what we want sucks? And then he talks about distractions. He calls them diversions from pain, but they're distractions. Everything we want is a distraction, and distractions make us increasingly fragile as a population, prone to compulsive and addictive behaviors, and unable to identify, tolerate, and seek out negative emotions. We become numb to our environment when we by our distractions, especially by bad distractions. More stuff distracts us from what we're actually hiding deep inside. Oh, and then he talks about what true freedom is. True freedom is not having all of the things. True freedom is not needing anything, not needing to buy tons of cars and computers, the new phones. You don't need all of this. True freedom is being able to say no. That's pretty much the point. Yeah. Today's tyranny is flooding people with so much bullshit they're unable to make smart commitments and decisions. Then he talks about democracy. It's the best form of government. And then a quote from Winston Churchill, if I remember it right, says, "Democracy is the worst kind of government, excluding all the rest." So it's the best of all of them, but there's still so many flaws to the democracy. Instead of forcing people to do well or to eat the right things and to shut down shitty businesses, I guess the point is the way that our world works now has contributed to all the good things, because all of the things that have been innovated, like the internet, serve a really good purpose, serve good roles. Modern medicine, they're important to our longevity and health, but they can be manipulated in terrible ways. You can abuse drugs and you can abuse the internet. Yeah, you can't just dictate what people are going to do or consume. But anyway, the last point from this chapter, I said, the lower our tolerance for pain, the more we indulge in fake freedoms. The lower of our tolerance for pain, the more we indulge in fake freedoms, the less we will be able to uphold the virtues that allow a free democratic society to function. The lower our tolerance for pain, the more we indulge in fake freedoms like buying the new iPhones and being endlessly consuming fake freedoms, the less we are able to uphold the virtues that allow a free democratic society to function. Okay, and then chapter 9, the final religion. I was listening to Rogan talk about this morning as well with the lady that got arrested in Italy for 4 years. I forgot her name already. I was listening to it this morning. The final religion is giving up to our overlords artificial intelligence. Humans today, and this Rogan's theory and what he was saying is humans today are a conduit for something great. We're building a cocoon. We're worms building a cocoon, and we don't know why, but we are creating the next form of life, or an advanced form of life, which is artificial intelligence. And he says we can be fearful of it and stop that progression, which means we stop innovation, we stop creating smarter computers and smarter algorithms and all of that. We either stop that and continue to live as dumb monkeys, or we give in, we build the future, and then pray that this artificial intelligence will be kind to us. That they'll treat us like cute little puppies. Or they'll destroy us because they'll see us as an infallible cog in their perfect algorithmic society. Who knows? Yep. And this is a principle that Nietzsche talked about as well in his book God is Dead. Humanity as we know it today, and he wrote it, I don't know, early 1900s. I don't know. Humanity as we know it today is the greatest bridge from beasts to something greater. We're right in the middle. We're building a cocoon, and we don't know why. And that's how the book ends. I told you it's not a happy ending. He says, instead of looking for hope, try these instead. Don't hope. Don't despair. Don't deign to believe you know anything. Don't hope for better. Be better. Yeah. Oh, I wrote it twice. Don't hope for better. Be a better human. That's at the end of the day, if you remove science, if you remove religion, principle, whatever, philosophy, all of it. I guess this is a type of philosophy, but at the end of the day, all we are in control of is how we think and what we do. We can't control what happens to us or our emotional reactions. We can't control those things, but we can control how we react or how we interpret certain situations. So he says, don't hope. Don't despair. Don't deign to believe you know anything, and just be better and be a better human. That's how the book ends. And he gives a list of things that he would hope for if he believed in hope. But as the book describes, hope is fucked. Everything is fucked. Humans are fucked. The life as we know it is fucked. And we either distract ourselves with capitalism, or we learn how to overcome our feeling brain and live as though none of it matters anyway. And if nothing matters, then we get to decide what matters. It's kind of an oxymoron, in my opinion, and it's something I believe, but I think it's an oxymoron. Nothing matters, so we get to choose what matters or what's important to us. But really, at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. We don't get to choose what happens to us. We just get to choose how to react and how to interpret these situations. So if everything is fucked, then everything is fucked. And there's nothing we can do about it. But I am excited to see how artificial intelligence, I bet we get human-like artificial intelligence. I know they make robots and stuff, or they just have software computers that are able to talk and act like humans. Artificial intelligence does. But I think in our lifetime we'll have like actual robot people making decisions. And that's kind of what like automated services are, where they have robots putting on toothpaste caps. What was that in Willy Wonka? Did he lose his job because a robot took, or Elf? What was that? It was a Christmas movie or something. Robots are already taking over. They do a lot of our shit. They take our phone calls and whatever. Eventually they're going to be our bank tellers and our mechanics exclusively. I don't know. I bet that shit happens in our lifetime, my lifetime. If I live to be 100, it'll be 2096. So we'll see. That's the book. Everything's Fucked by Mark Manson. Highly recommend it. I also highly recommend his first book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. I wish I had read that. I read it like right before I started doing the podcast and taking notes on books. It's a really good one though. It's another one of how everything is fucked, but don't give a fuck about it because there's nothing we can do about it. It's depressing. Or it's not depressing, or it's liberating. It's kind of your perspective. Anyway, my ride is here. I got to go pick up my carpet cleaning van. So get out there this week. It's supposed to be a cold and rainy one. And again, if you're listening to this not right now, when I'm talking 8:55 a.m. on October 4th, then you are welcome to join me on Facebook live on my page, or YouTube, or Twitch, or Streamlabs OBS, where I stream it live and come talk in the chat. I had people coming and going this whole time. Mashed Potatoes, you're always a real one for showing up. Thank you. Go do something challenging this week and become introspective and learn how you can be a better human, because at the end of the day, that's all we can do. GG's, Mashed Potatoes. Have a good week, everyone.
して